Well, Brian, I tell you that I hate to admit when I'm wrong. And it happens so rarely, as I've said so many times, that I really don't have to go through this procedure very often. But I've actually learned in this past week that I've been wrong in some of the things I've done in the past. I've handled personal conflict the wrong way. This is a little known factor. Who was it did that promo one time and said, it's a well-known secret about you? Some heel is talking about the baby. It's a well-known secret. It's a little known fact about me. Do you know that up until this past several week period, I have never sued anyone in my entire life?
Wow, that's kind of shocking. I mean, you've been sued.
Oh, yeah. I tried to sit down and make a list one time, and I think we got around 12 or 13. I couldn't remember. We couldn't narrow it down any closer than that. But would you be amazed by that? Are you amazed by that? Would you have thought that?
Now that I think about it, I guess it does make sense. You seem to be more likely to take the matter into your own hands and your own baseball bat and whatever.
Well, there has been that issue. There are many people that can testify, and in some cases, I've done this in front of thousands of people, and I've whacked people viciously and repeatedly about the head and face with the blunt edge of a tennis racket. There's been photographic evidence. I'm not talking about working in the ring. I'm talking about actually out in the crowd. That's related to a number of those 12 or 13 lawsuits. A couple of those were as a promoter, though. So I wasn't even there. It was Owen. And there's been a time that people can testify to that in a face-to-face verbal conflict, something just comes over me where I don't even plan to do it. But before I realize that I've done it, I've reached out and snatched a motherfucker around his neck, or as Dennis Connery would say, around his goozle pipe with my fucking right hand. Ron and Don Harris and Heavenly Bodies, a number of people can testify to that. It has been reported, well documented in the newspapers, especially in Knoxville, Tennessee, and on come to find out that I think it was the Channel 6 evening news. I think six and maybe 10 covered it, WBIR. But anyway, that not only did I take a baseball bat to a couple motherfuckers on Magnolia Avenue at 5:00 on Friday afternoon during rush hour, but that I also tried to allegedly, although I've since admitted that, yes, this was my intent, to run over a motherfucker in broad daylight. I've handled these conflicts, and there was the baseball bat, poor Casey O'Connor. I didn't hit him, but every piece of glass, actually, and the plastic, because the headlights and taillights and shit are plastic these days, aren't they?
Well, it wasn't these
days.
Do you know about? Was it plastic in
1994? 20 years, I think they were still but definitely all the windows and the rear view mirrors and et cetera, all the glass and the plastic in the car. But I didn't hit him. But I've handled these conflicts in the wrong way, Brian, because all those previous times has cost me, even though it's been cathartic, even though it's been kind of mentally therapeutic, it's been very financially expensive. But never have I actually just gone to the meat of the matter and just went ahead and sued some asshole that had infringed and impinged upon me until just several weeks ago. And that way, when it happened, what happened was, obviously everybody remembers on the program, I had seen a clip on Twitter, right, where two guys are on the two ladders in a barn somewhere. I mean, you could still see the chickens. The chickens were on the beams of the roof, and there was the bales of hay and everything. And then you had, I think there was a donkey. Well, there was two asses on top of these ladders, whether there was a donkey in the barn that night or not. So they're up there, and there's a nice bundle. I guess you would call it a bundle. Of fluorescent light tubes bridging the gaps between the ladders, and the concept of this performance art piece in front of these slathering, mouth breathing, knuckle dragging, Neanderthal nincompoops. Thank you, Jonathan Harris. Had actually paid $3-4 a piece to watch this shit. The one guy picks the other guy up upside down and drops him headfirst through the fluorescent light tubes. When the guy hits the ground, he's amazed to find out, shocked, gobsmacked, bumfuzzled, if you will, to find out that he has seriously injured himself to the tune of slicing himself across the side, apparently at upper body protuberances. He sliced himself from asshole to appetite. And he immediately tucks flaps of his hanging skin in and runs off. Who could have thought something like that would have fucking happened from this clearly professionally set up apparatus in this multi-million-dollar production they were putting on? And I said on the show that, that's pretty fucking stupid, right? I believe that was the summation of my commentary. That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen anybody do.
I believe so.
Yes. And I mentioned that on Twitter also. As a matter of fact, I remember on Twitter, I said, it's a nasty nick that kid got there. Too bad they didn't stop the show so they could all watch this idiot bleed out. Of course, he didn't bleed out. He just bled part of the way out. I heard it might have been close. But anyway, and then we went on, because I don't know who this idiot is. I've never met this guy before. I didn't even know his name. I wasn't even there. I just saw somebody doing a really stupid thing and commented on it. But then what ticked me off was when I found out that, and now I may have accused him of running it. He was just going to cooperate with taking the money, but somebody else was going to do a GoFundMe for this guy to where this veteran deathman, and I don't know why anybody thinks it's a good idea if you ever want to have an actual job besides getting thrown headfirst through broken glass, to put big fucking things in your ears and tattoo your face and have metal hanging out of your nose. This guy couldn't go through a metal detector in any courthouse or airport in America without setting off so many bells and whistles you'd think it was New Year's Eve. And he looks like a fucking goof to begin with. And we're supposed to, all of us as wrestling fans and as concerned members of the community, contribute to his GoFundMe for the expensive and complicated surgery that it's going to take to put this guy back together in a functioning way due to the injury that he sustained by doing something that anybody with an IQ of 47 would have known was going to lead to a serious fucking injury. I said, have we cured cancer? Are there no more sick or hungry children in the world? Are all the animals taken care of, the defenseless animals? Is there no other way that we can apply any extra money that we might have and want to give to a charitable cause, but to repairing a fucking garbage outlaw mud show deathmatch wrestler who dove headfirst from 10 feet in the air through a bundle of fluorescent light tubes? This was the question I was asking the broadcasting public. Well, old Grover got hot. That's what we call him. I can't remember his actual name, but we've affectionately dubbed him Grover after the Muppet gimmick. He looks a little bit like that with all the things hanging out of his fucking facial appendages. So anyway, Grover got hot. And he's got some partner in crime, because that's what they've been doing, is breaking the law, that actually can make T-shirts. I don't know. Maybe he made license plates in the penitentiary. So now he knows how to make T-shirts. And they got together and put out on for sale, Brian, as you'll recall, a T-shirt with a very unflattering image of me, with all kinds of harm being done to me, with the epithet underneath it, fuck Jim Cornette. And I saw that on the internet, and I said, normally if I would, because I'd have to go all the way to Pennsylvania to find these guys with the baseball bat, or run them down with a car, or grab them by the neck. But I don't rightly think that they can do that. So I said, if there was only somebody that I knew that could tell me whether or not that this shit could go on, because I don't know nothing about birthing no lawsuits or nothing, but I believe this is a violation of not only my constitutional rights, but my intellectual property rights and all kinds of other rights. And I thought, who could I call? Who could tell me? Who could definitively answer for me whether or not that they can get away with this outlaw mud show bullshit, or whether we can shut this shit down? And you know who I called, Brian?
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. He'll sue the rest.
That's exactly right, ladies and gentlemen, and that's who we now hopefully have on the line here today to talk more about this issue. And the first time I did something in my life at the age of 50 years old, this man has responsibly shown me the error of my ways. I don't admit that often, but boy, this sure was, so far, has been cheaper and easier on my body, and there was not the annoying jail stay to go along with it. My attorney and yours, ladies and gentlemen, Stephen P. New. How are you, Stephen?
I'm great. How are you, Jim?
Well, I'm just feeling fine as frog hair and ready to hop after the. I hate it when a game that you've been waiting to watch is a big blowout or a shutout or whatever. But so far our lawsuit here hasn't taken much effort to achieve a whole lot of fruit so far. We're going to talk about the fruits and vegetables involved in this lawsuit today with you. But basically, I called you up and I said, Stephen, can they sell my face? Can they sell my name? Can they make money off of wishing me ill? And you said, oh, hell no.
Actually, I think you tweeted Grover first and said, you'll be hearing from my attorney, and I think we'll get his opinion. And then you and I had the phone conversation.
Yeah,
I think that's how that went. So
you are correct. Yes.
So I had a suspicion that I'd be getting a call from you later that day, and I did.
Well, so anyway, they've made a number of missteps. This has not been the perfect crime so far on their part. We've said many times, you have a motto. You will give any man one chance to do the right thing. And if he does, then we're all friends. And if he doesn't, then I don't know whether I should use this type of language on the program, but you will fuck him up. And
yeah,
when you got in contact with these people, you said, all right, very funny, very funny, good little rib. So just ixnay, and we'll all be good. And they tried to basically flout your authority.
They certainly did. I put together about 4 or 5 conditions after you and I talked, and gave those to the guy running the Indie Connection website and who had registered FuckJimCornette.com. The website had registered Fuck Jim Cornette as a trademark with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office.
Or it applied. Wait a minute. As Jerry Lawler said one time, you ain't just got nothing but an application there, son. They had made an application. This is how stupid they are. And more on this later, the dispensation of this. They had made an application to try to trademark my name.
Yeah.
In a disparaging context, which was not going to fly.
Right.
And you said, look, just drop it, guys, and there's no problems, and we'll all just go away.
Yeah. Yeah. So they shut down the website pointing to the T-shirt sales. And unless they were selling some T-shirts, at a couple of these outlaw mud shows, there weren't any more T-shirts being sold, except the ripoffs started coming. The Vietnamese companies on eBay had taken this likeness of yours, Jim, and had gone to it. So, we were having to approach Amazon and eBay and so forth. But, the near-term goal was shutting down Grover, Bill Molnar, and the Indy Connection from selling these and profiting from your likeness. So I gave him 5 conditions and said, you do these 5 things and it'll drop. And I'm giving you 60 days to do that. That was mid-October. Their 60 days was up mid-December. And radio silence after that. No contact. I'm checking the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office website every couple or few days. And you said while that 60 days was going on, you said, I doubt they do the right thing. And so we just had to let that time roll off and see by mid-December what was going to go on.
Well, here's the thing is I knew they weren't going to do this because one of 2 things. One, they don't really have a lot of financial risk, although I wouldn't really want to do their credit report for the next 5 to 7 years after this takes place, but they don't have a lot of financial risk because, for heaven's sake, how much does it cost to literally live in the basement of your parents? And I didn't think they would do the right thing because of that. And also I didn't think they'd do the right thing because they thought, well, this guy, he's a gimmick lawyer because Cornette's just a gimmick or whatever. And I said, we're just going to have to prove that there is a point which cannot be crossed with Jim Cornette or Stephen P. New. And that point got crossed. And
sure,
that's why
it became personal for me because, all of his little Twitter buddies and all of his little Facebook buddies and all of these deathmatch outlaw mud show fans, besmirching me on social media. He's not a real lawyer. He's not licensed in Pennsylvania. He can't get up there and sue you, Grover. So, that was fine, but unlike a lot of my litigation, it became personal for me just because of some of the things that were said about me on social media and about my ability to either get to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office or get to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and sue these guys. And,
and at the same time, they think they're going to get away with this also when they repeatedly lie and they repeatedly have no leg to stand on. They came out and said, oh, well, it's because, by the way, folks, for a limited time only, as I said, there's a few more available, not many, but the offending shirt is on sale at jimcornette.com with $5 from every shirt sold going to the Crusade for Children to help special needs kids in Kentucky and Southern Indiana, not outlaw garbage mud show wrestlers that dive through broken glass. But the reason why that shirt is available at jimcornette.com legally, morally, and ethically is because the artist that did the artwork that said T-shirt features was never paid by Grover and their bluegrass band name is Grover and the Mud Show Gang. But he was never paid by Grover and the Mud Show Gang. We paid the attorney. We paid the artist that did that artwork, and he has signed a release which we possess that we are the official licensed people that are allowed to sell that artwork. I forget how many strikes that is so far on Grover. But they lied about that. They said, oh, Cornette's ripping off this poor guy's artwork. He was just trying to make it. No, I'm the guy that paid him. You fucking little outlaw dipshit. So and it's our artwork to do with as we will. Yes. So,
and we will.
So they just keep, and then to compound insult to injury, apparently not realizing when you file a federal lawsuit in the state of Pennsylvania, I've been filed against on a number of occasions. You have to answer this shit, and you have to have some kind of good answer when you do, or elsewise you might as well fold up your fucking tent. And they try to actually do a takeoff shirt based on the original shirt for which they were getting sued for, that they are now getting sued again for.
Yes.
Tell them about that, Stephen.
With more widespread sale than the original offending shirt. So let me break that down for you if I can, Jim. They registered a web domain, clownette.com. And essentially all they did was take Shaheen art of, your face and add some clown makeup and selling that under the guise of this Clownette. Well, you're the license holder of that piece of art. And
you went to a graphic artist, much like a forensic scientist, and had the official numbers of points of ID on the artwork identified so that it will hold up in court that is indeed the same art because of this specialist assertion.
Yes. And
yeah.
I told Grover on Twitter that I would do that because he messaged me and said, why are you suing me, or why are you threatening to sue me over Clownette? He's just a sad clown. I said, you're the sad clown. I'm hiring a graphic artist expert who can go through and with computer programs overlay these. And my graphic artist completed a report yesterday that can state forensically 100% that the Clownette shirt is a ripoff of Shaheen's art on the original offending shirt. It is the exact same art. And so the Clownette lawsuit may actually end up being more profitable, more lucrative for us than the original FJC shirt, because so many T-shirt dealers online believe that they've got the rights to the Clownette shirt and that it's not an offending shirt, that it somehow falls under, and you see all these little, internet lawyers talking about fair use and parody and all of that kind of stuff they know nothing about. Well, it's not fair use. It's the infringement of art that you now own. And so Clownette will probably be more lucrative than the original shirt.
Well, and by the way, and let me make this statement now. And we had mentioned that any proceeds of a lawsuit against Grover and his T-shirt accomplice, over and above, obviously, your expenses and those of your web of legal experts, we're going to donate to charity because I think they'll have to wash dishes for 10 years to pay this off anyway. But if we get up to like Bezos in court personally, I may take a piece of that as well as you. But we're also going to take care of the crusade and everybody else.
Right now, there are 33 companies aiding and abetting the infringement of your likeness with the Clownette shirt, up to and including eBay and Amazon. So you can do with your part what you want to, Jim, but I'm going to get my part before you start giving it away there.
Well, and also, by the way, on this run up the mulberry bush to try to trademark my face and my name in their little parody shirt or whatever, we've also just heard back from the trademark office. Boy, that didn't take long. And guess who didn't win the pony?
Didn't take long. Inside of 2 weeks, right before Christmas, we filed the objection, right around Christmas time. We filed the objection with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office because I kept thinking the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office will do the right thing, even without us filing a formal objection. They'll just reject it outright because it's obvious on its face. So around Christmas time, me and a friend of mine that I co-own an NFL agency with, he's a licensed U.S. Patent Trademark lawyer. We filed a one-pager. You need to object this and smack it down. And on Friday, we got the ruling from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office that their attempt to register Fuck Jim Cornette as a trademark was soundly defeated on about 4 or 5 different legal grounds. So,
well, I was about to say, it was about a 16-page email. They had a lot of reasons, but the one that I gleaned was my favorite one was basically because they refused the application to trademark that because they did not have the consent of Jim Cornette to do so. And that now creates,
right.
I believe, in the legal business, in your legal business, Stephen, that's what they call a precedent, right? So if anybody else tries
Yes,
to monkey
that's
around with this bullshit, just refer to Cornette versus Graver et al. Or Grover et al. And there's
Right.
precedent for this.
Yes, there was lots of legal precedent cited by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office for the rejection of this. Not to mention the confusion with your own swear words.
Yes.
They actually went to JimCornette.com and they said there could be some confusion in the marketplace if they let somebody else associate your name with swear words, which I've known since I was a teenager that there was a risk of that.
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, it did actually say, because of the numerous ways that my name is synonymous with the word fuck, that it could create confusion in the marketplace, and actually also, Stephen, you years ago were the one that smartened me up to the fact that I was in the West Virginia law textbooks, and because of the Midnight Express case in Beckley, West Virginia, there where poor Stan knocked that guy's eye socket about a quarter of an inch back farther than it was supposed to set. But in the process of that, I had cussed the guy out, and it was some statute in West Virginia as we were having him arrested for whether he did it or not. And now Stan looks at me dirty every time I give him an opposing witness. I've heard from everybody who was in the building that night. But anyway, we're having him arrested, and I'm cussing that mother. And that's where the favorite phrase of many people, "you black lung motherfucker," came from. Was that promo I was cutting on that guy that I thought had caved the side of Bobby's neck in with that fucking owl marker. But the reason why that I got out of it was because every witness, and there was like a dozen of them, said that I said something different, but all of the witnesses agreed that I only spoke for 20 to 30 seconds. So there was no way that anybody could possibly have called somebody that many names in that short of a length of time. I was exonerated.
That's what the West Virginia Supreme Court of Appeals said. There was no way that any human being could have said that many cuss words in that short amount of time as Jim Cornette was alleged to have said.
You know, they ought to have named one of the highways.
Professor's favorite. My law school professor was a former Marine drill sergeant, and so that was his favorite part of the case. And the reason why we were studying it was because his favorite part of the case was whether or not it could. And he said, "Well, hell, I was a Marine. I know you could have said that many things during that short amount of time."
Well, and as a matter of fact, I wish I'd had you around. We got more press in Altoona for this lawsuit, federal lawsuit, by the way, in the state of Pennsylvania that you filed. We got more press in Altoona than anywhere else in the state because I'm actually on record with the newspaper as busting a fucking guy's head open with a tennis racket there at about, what was it, October of 1990. That made the Associated Press. So they were still quite upset about that.
Well, and I'll tell you, you'll make more law books now because I was actually contacted by an intellectual property professor of law at the University of New Hampshire, which I understand is the leading university in the United States of America for matters of patent, trademark, and copyright. And she reached out to me and said, "Well, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things that happen for copyrights and trademarks in the professional wrestling industry. And can I talk to you once this lawsuit is concluded?" And I said, "Sure, Professor. You know, my client, I'll be happy to talk to you when the case is over." And she has great interest in your case, so you may make a law review journal or a law textbook again, Jim Cornette.
You just tell her that I have great interest in her case also. We'll have mutual interest in each other's cases. That's like the old line when a new girl would come in the territory. "Have you ever seen her wrestle?" "No, but I've seen her box." But anyway, I do want to ask you. So basically, what that was a depth charge. What we are left with here, Stephen, in your legal opinion, is just I think I can make a blanket statement without fear of contradiction that any stupid bastard that wants to sell my name or my face in a manner other in which that I would have it intended done it has a very short period of time from the time they hear these words to get out of the Jim Cornette business before they will be hearing more about their individual part to play in this and what the compensation and or penalty is going to be for same as we move off of Grover and the Mud Show gang, who are so far being roundly trounced, and into the interwebs to find out who else is an interloper in Jim Cornette's property. Would you say that is correct, sir? They need to get the fuck out of here.
They're going to get 30 to 60 days to cease and desist. And if they don't, we will invite them to Jefferson County, Kentucky to come and spend some time with us.
You know, the way you make that sound, it almost makes me want to make reservations at a restaurant where we can get everybody together and just have a big dinner.
They can order some hot brown and come down and join us in Louisville, Kentucky. They're more than welcome. Louisville is one of my favorite places. I spent a long time there when I was stationed at Fort Knox, and they can spend some time with us in Louisville if they're going to continue. Because it's not only now Clownette and FJC shirt. They're actually getting some of your art from JimCornette.com. And there's some guys in different parts of the country that are ripping that off. And we're not going to stand for it, Jim. Plain and simple, we're not going to. And these lawsuits carry with them attorney's fees, where they not only would have to pay their attorneys if they want to try to defend this action, they'll have to pay mine eventually.
Yeah, that's foregone conclusion that they're going to be paying you because you had to go through all this trouble, and they are guilty, but they're also going to have to be paying their own attorney's fees as well to answer the various claims, cross-claims, counterclaims. And I'll tell you one thing, and Brian, I know you'll testify to this, Stephen P. New is a hell of a writ writer because he's been writing writs all morning. If you've read the writs he's written, you'll know they're really well-written writs, and I will guarantee you that you people out there trying to fuck with Stephen P. New, 888-692-8084, you will get written off. I wish I'd have had you instead of Clarence Mason, Steve. We'd have had a lot of fun. But anyway.
Yeah, I know. Timing's everything, and I was just a little short in the tooth at the time, Jim. So
well,
I've got 21 years under my belt now, know what I'm doing. I've got a network of fantastic lawyers who either work for me or with me or in my building or what have you. And we can reach out and get them. And if I may too, I so appreciate what you and Brian say about me. I wish that I could be everywhere all the time to help all the Cult of Cornette members. Sometimes I just can't. But I'm telling you, I get great response. I was just on Twitter yesterday, and I helped a guy through a situation with a small claims court situation in California. And I just want all the Cult of Cornette members to know that sometimes I can get to you. Sometimes I can get you in the right place with the right lawyer. Sometimes I can't. I wish that I could. Sometimes it's just something that I don't specialize in, but it's not from a lack of want to. Because I so appreciate the response that I get from the Cult and from yours and Brian's listeners, that just from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate the trust that they give me and the confidence that you and Brian have in me. I talk to you guys about a lot of different situations that we don't talk about publicly on the podcast or anything like that. And I'm more than happy to. And anytime that I can help a Cult member get through a situation or what have you, if I specialize in it, I'm not going to shoot off the cuff, and I'm not going to wade into an area that I don't have special knowledge in or specialization, but I'll help everybody that I possibly can, Jim.
Well, and actually, we appreciate that, Stephen. And that's the thing is all joking and hyperbole aside, as they say, you really have dug in and helped not only us, but a number of the members of the Cult of Cornette, a number of the listeners out there, or at least pointed them in the right direction of somebody that could, or given you always take your time, and we appreciate that. And just get the goddamn T-shirts out, though. We're hearing a lot of it just because you're giving these things away for free. Now, here's the thing. That's why, as my mother would say, he would complain if they hung him with a brand new rope. Stephen P. New
Right.
gives out these free T-shirts from newlawoffice.com, and they're beautiful shirts. They're incredibly well made and colorful as all heck. And he gives them for free. And then now people are like, well, how long is it going to take? You know, how long are you going to be behind for? You get my shirt. They're complaining. and no, you're giving away wonderful shirts. And you are a bit backlogged, but, you know, what do you want for nothing? Rubber biscuit?
We're getting them out, though. I did my last order, and I've got some special ones. You know, I'm going to see you up in Circleville in mid-March, and I've had a special order of Cult of Cornette T-shirts made just for the occasion to be up there with you and Bobby and Dennis, and I can't wait to be up there with some new T-shirts. They are very much 80s style, and they say consigliere to the Cult of Cornette on them. And I saw you down at Bobby's event. We had a great time in November, even though you were too tired to let me go take you to dinner. There was a carrabble here where we were staying. I couldn't believe you did one dinner.
Oh, what? No, but I already checked. Also, they closed like 10 minutes before we would have got there. But also, you know, I'm tired when I'm too tired to eat. But that is a great that is a great segue though. Circleville, March 14th. The opening of the brand new facility up there, because we're going to have Bobby Fulton on the program here today also, and that may be a great segue for us to get off so that we can get him on here in a few minutes. But Stephen, I appreciate it. The point is already, this has not been one of those things you hear dragging on in the courts forever and ever. Already, they've lied. The artwork is not theirs. The artwork is ours. They're trying to sell my name and my face. The U.S. Trademark Office has slapped them down. We've caught them in numerous misrepresentations. More people are going to suffer because of their foolishness and irresponsibility. And all in all, it's going to be a good day for a lawyer. Stephen, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Jim, Brian, we will talk to you guys real soon. Take care.